Hello, I'm Silvio Peroni. I'm Associate Professor at the University of Bologna, and with David Shattem, I'm the Director of OpenCitation, which is an independent, not-for-profit infrastructure organization for open scholarship dedicated to the publication of open bibliographic and citation data by the use of semantic web technologies. In this presentation, I will introduce the recent achievements of OpenCitation and our current plans. However, since my presentation, I will talk about citations, of course, it is crucial to introduce you what I mean with this concept. A bibliographic citation is a conceptual directional link from a citing entity to a cited entity, for the purpose of acknowledging or ascribing credit for the contribution made by the authors of the cited entity. This link is defined by means of particular textual devices, such as bibliographic references included in the reference list of the citing article, which is then denoted by an in-text reference pointer within the body of the citing entity. Citation data are related to a particular citation and must include the representation of such a conceptual directional link and the basic metadata of the citing entity and the cited entity that are sufficient information to create or retrieve textual bibliographic references for each of the entities involved in the citation. A bibliographic citation is an open citation when the data needed to define the citation are compliant with the following principle. Structure, that means that citation data must be expressed in one or more machine-readable formats, such as JSON or RDF. Separate, meaning that the citation must be available without the need to access the source of such a bibliographic entity, such as the article or the book in which the citation is defined. That can be even behind the paywall. Open means that citation data must be freely accessible and reusable without restriction, for example, by publication under CC0 Universal Waiver. Identifiable and available means that the citing and cited entities must be clearly identified by using specific identifier schemes, such as DOI, or a URL. And it must be possible by resolving the identifiers of the citing and cited entities to obtain the basic metadata of both the entities, sufficient to create and retrieve textual bibliographic references for each of them. Such basic entity metadata must be themselves structured, separate, and open. From an historical point of view, the concept of open citation is strongly tied with that of the web. Since 1989, the web has drastically changed the way we think about academic publishing and science in general. Publishers themselves started to adopt web standards to create and deliver their products quickly and to a broader audience. Standards, guidelines, services based on web technologies have been proposed in the past 30 years to improve discoverability of academic products and publications, and to improve also research practices and to allow reusability of scholarly data in different applicative contexts. Open citations are no exception. Even if the definition of open citation was provided only recently, past works implicitly started to introduce their main characteristics. As far as I know, the first embryonal description of open citation is in Robert Cameron's visionary article published in 1997 and entitled Universal Citation Database as a Catalyst for Reform in Scholarly Communication. In this article, he speculated about the existence of a universal citation database which would have linked every scholarly work ever written, which should be decentralized, freely available over the internet and daily updated, providing all types of publication information about all types of publication, not only journal articles, but also technical reports, data sets, and other publication types. And all these publications should be equally visible and accessible to all. From this initial web age, things started to develop. In the same year, Cameron's article, CiteSeer, was launched, a service that crawls citations from PostScript documents available on the web. Along the same lines, a few years later, Sitebase was created in the context of the OpenCite project. Still, a few years later on, Google Scholar was launched for the very first time and was the first service to provide an open interface for looking at paper of a scientist and in particular to the citation this paper received, even if the data that are available, that are used for building this interface, are not open accessible. CiteSeer X was proposed a few years later as an evolution to CiteSeer in order to address some problems of its predecessor, such as scalability problems in particular. But the tipping point for OpenCitation was when, a few years later, David Schatten introduced the concept of semantic publishing. That is, the use of semantic web technologies applied to the scholarly publishing domain, in particular focused on adding semantic annotations to journal articles to make them more discoverable and reusable. This idea led him to the JISC Open Citation project in 2010, a year-long project with a subsequent extension that aimed at creating a first corpus of open citation data entirely available on the web by using URL to identify resources and RDF to expose this data to the public. The idea of providing open citations was spread to the scholarly and publishing community in the following years, at least in 2 different editions of the annual conference of open access publisher. In the first talk was by David Schatten at OASPA 2013, and then Dario Taraborelli's speech at OASPA 2016, where Dario highlighted in particular the essential need of release this kind of data as soon as possible for the benefit of the whole scholarly community. From 2016, everything started to change at scale, at large scale. In fact, since the importance of open citations got a broader audience and led to the introduction of open citations, one single word, the open scholar infrastructure I'm directing with David Schatten, and WikiCite as testimonial of communities providing open citation data and services to allow their programmatic access. After this first technical implementation in 2017, the Initiative for Open Citation, I4C, was launched with the mission of convincing publishers to make their reference lists free and openly available on Crossref. In the following years, some international events and other scholarly initiatives helped in increasing the interest in open citation and open citation data and the related technical infrastructures providing them. And now let me spend a few words talking about the infrastructure I am directing with David Schatten, that is OpenCitation. OpenCitation is a scholarly infrastructure organization dedicated to open scholarship and the publication of open bibliographic metadata and citation data by the use of semantic web technologies. We undertake as well advocacy for open scholarly metadata, particularly via the Initiative for Open Citation and the Initiative for Open Abstract, I4OA. Our goal is to provide open metadata with the scope, depth, accuracy, and provenance surpassing commercial sources. We do provide data models, in particular the Open Citation data model that we use to describe all the bibliographic metadata and citation data OpenCitations provide. Of course, we also provide bibliographic and citation data all released using the CC0 waiver to maximize their reuse. And these data are available in different collections, including the Open Citation indexes that currently are our main collection. All the software we developed to gather and expose this data is available in our GitHub repository and released with open source licenses to enable anyone maximum reuse. Finally, all the data that are available online are released as full dumps of OpenCitation data that can be downloaded. And these data, the same data that you can download in the dump, can be also accessed programmatically via REST API, Sparkle endpoint, and other web interfaces. Our primary database is COCI, which is the Open Citation Index of Crossref Open DOI to DOI citation, that currently hosts more than 1.2 billion citations, and it is derived from open references within Crossref, and includes also references within journal articles published by Elsevier and the American Chemical Society recently that have been recently made available as open data at Crossref. All these citations have been made available in linked open data by OpenCitation and can be accessed programmatically by using, as I mentioned before, our REST API by specifying either the publication DOI of a specific article you are interested in or an Open Citation identifier, which is an identifier we are maintaining that enables to identify a whole citation, that is the relation entity A cites entity B, so the whole thing. Since last year, 2 years ago right now, OpenCitation has benefited greatly from crowdfunding that comes from the scholarly community, that has resulted mainly from SCO's selection of OpenCitations as a scholarly infrastructure worthy of support, and from its involvement also in international projects such as OpenAir Nexus project, which is a European funded project where we work with other institutions and infrastructures, including OpenAir. An additional recognition by the scholarly community of the activities OpenCitation has done so far was the Open Publishing Award in the category Open Data that was announced during the last FORCE 2021 conference in December, in the closing session. According to the jury panel, OpenCitation is an infrastructure that perfectly represents the open principles and one of the fundamental projects in open publishing, specifically in open scientific publishing. As a final note for this quick introduction of OpenCitation, it is worth of remembering that OpenCitation exposes the UNESCO principle of open science, the principle of open scholarly infrastructures, the fair data principle that data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, and the initiative for open citation principles that citation data should be structured, separable, and open. In compliance with this value, one of OpenCitation's main priorities is to keep all its services, software, and data always available without charge under open licenses. We use CC0 for data and ISC for software in order to enabling and fostering maximum reuse of all the components, all the entities we provide. This undeniable aspect of keeping everything free for all leads to an acknowledged sustainability issue, principally in terms of salaries and technical infrastructure costs. OpenCitation can rely on an international network of generous supporters that apply for membership and donation programs. We are really grateful to all the institutions that believe in our mission and values. However, we are already far from being fully financially sustained infrastructure, and we still need help in the next year from the global scholarly community in order to keep all these bibliographic and citation data and the related services available for many years to come. Just let's say a last word, and let me show show up again in the camera, that just to mention that OpenCitation is not a single entity. Together, all together, we can make a difference here and create an open and inclusive future for science and research. And I would like to end my presentation to our, let's say, motto that we used to in several presentations in the past year. We often say that OpenCitation is a plural. It's not a single entity, it's a plural. Together, all the community working together are OpenCitation. And that was my last message of this presentation. So I would like to thank you all for the invitation of providing an introduction of what we are doing, we have done, and what we are doing in the next years. So thank you so much for your time.